Everybody, this is Dream, and today we have a 2-game college basketball slate and a 6-game NBA slate. Both these slates are pretty good, so I think it's definitely going to be a good slate for both sports. Before I get started, can you guys smash that like and subscribe button? We're going to do college basketball first, as it is a small slate, just 2 games. These 2 games feature Virginia and Morgan State, and then Cal Baptist and Chicago State. Virginia is favored to win by 26 points, and Cal Baptist is favored by 11 points. Both games have 131 point totals. And for the injury report, for Virginia, Dante Harris, who's kind of a bench roll guy, he's questionable. Morgan State, Tabbs, and Thompson are both questionable, but they haven't played in several games, and there's not much information there. As for Cal Baptist and Chicago State, there doesn't appear to be any injuries at all. The best offense on this slate is Virginia, which is going to tell you all you need to know about this particular slate. so, then as far as the worst defense, Chicago State. So, also keep that in mind when you go. Only uh, one team does push the ball for a fast pace, and that's Cal Baptist. However, they don't. They're the worst offense on this slate. So, even though they are favored to win, they are ranked as the worst offense on the slate. So that's pretty interesting. Looking at this slate, though, so we're going to look at Virginia first, and I really have one guy that I like a lot here, and then another guy that's interesting. Beekman here has some utility as he is expensive, but he has high upside and should be a force in this game. The only real risk here is with the blowout that he won't play a ton of minutes, but even then, his low on the season is 23 fantasy points, and both of the sub 30 games he's had lately were due to insane blowouts one way or the other. So I expect him to get at least that. And at 8,300 points, he needs 32 fantasy points to pay off. I think he will likely get there regardless of the blowout nature of the game. He just has to score enough points to do it. And I think he will be a viable option on the slate. I'm also going to look at Leon Bond here for them. Now he can play forward, which is nice. He comes off the bench, but he gets more minutes in blowouts. He's been getting over 18 minutes a game when they have at least somewhat of a blowout. So I expect him to be a viable option here. Obviously, the last game where they got blown out, he didn't do very well, but this is a game they're favored to win by a lot. I expect him to get enough minutes to pay off here at $5,000. I'm also going to mention that Blake Buchanan and Elijah Gertrude both get more minutes in these situations, but they do carry some risk, as if the game was to stay closer, they wouldn't get the minutes here. But same with Bond to some degree. And then Jacob Groves also has some utility on this one, but he definitely carries some risk, as he probably wouldn't get a ton of minutes and have a lot of usage if it blows out really quickly. Then we're going to look at Morgan State, and this is where it's going to get funky. So Cameron Hobbs, according to DraftKings here, as you can see, the last time he played is 11/26. This is incorrect. He's played all the games this month so far, and he looks to have a really good upside in this game. His price is literally $3,000, so he's been playing very well throughout the season. He's the second best player on their team, and their leading best player has been out for several games, and that's Winston Tabbs. So he is a must play on the slate. I don't think many of the optimizers are showing him in them. Uh, as far as I could tell, no, I don't actually uh, pay for any of them, but I couldn't see any write up or anything that had him in there. So it looks like he should be kind of a sneaky play today, and he is a must play on the slate. If there's anything as a must play than him, then he is it. I know they're not favored to win the game, but he's $3,000. He doesn't need any. He only needs 12 fantasy points to pay off, and he's been crushing that for a while. So I think he's in a great spot here. Um, as for Winston Tabs and Miles Thompson, I did notice that they seem to have some look on the different. Let's see if I can find them here. On different sites and stuff. So Miles Thompson here at $3,000, and Winston Tabs. Neither one of these guys have played in quite a few games. Um, the question here is if they're going to play. He played one. This is not correct. He did not play in this game. So because I looked at the actual box scores for these games, I don't know if there's going to be any information to tell us if these guys are going to potentially play today. I'm just going to presume that they're not at this point, but hopefully I'll find some more information about them as the day goes on. I will try to tweet about it from my Twitter, so if you keep tabs that way, then you can definitely figure that out. But we'll have to wait and see on those. That definitely makes the slate somewhat questionable. Uh, but that's, Morgan State, there's one guy, Cameron Hobbs. If those other guys were to play, then they would definitely have some potential as well. Then we're going to look at Chicago State here, and Wesley Cordette Jr. is probably the only guy that you really want to potentially play here. He's pretty expensive, but he has really good upside. The only question here is if they get blown out early, or because it's 11-point spread, he could lose some minutes here. Um, I do like Brent Davis a little bit as well, as he has some utility here, but he definitely carries some risk with the blowout, as he may not get as many minutes if they get blown out. But that's definitely a possibility. Looking over at Cal Baptist, now they only play a 5 to 6 man rotation, and the best option is going to be Goodrick here. But all these guys do carry some risk, as they're not a very good offensive team, and they definitely don't pass the ball very well as a team either. But they definitely have some potential here. But really, just the top 5 guys here are the guys that play the most minutes. There's just not much to like about them because they're overpriced, and they don't really showcase a lot of utility here. So Goodrick would be the best option from this team. Let's go over to the NBA. It should be a good college basketball slate, but there's definitely some concerns there. Let's move to the NBA, though, and look at the injury report for this slate. We have 6 games. For the 76ers, Embiid remains out. Batum is out. For the Magic's, Isaac, Harris, and Ingles are questionable, and Fultz is out. For the Bucks, Crowder is out, and Giannis is questionable. For the Nets, Simmons is out, and Walker is out. For the Suns, Beal is out. For the Rockets, Eason is questionable, and Brooks is out. For the Knicks, Robinson is out. For the Cavs, Mitchell, Levert are both questionable. Mobley, Garland, and Merrill are out. For the Mavs, Doncic is questionable, and Irving is out. Green is out and Cleaver is out. So we actually have 3 of our top 4 players on the slate when it comes to price are all out, or questionable, excuse me, with Mitchell, Giannis, and Doncic all questionable, and Embiid out. The only guy over $9,900 that's available for sure is Shea Alexander. Obviously, this could play into really affect the slate, but I do have some good plays here. Tobias Harris is my core play. Whenever Embiid was out last year, he absolutely dominated, and as we can see, the last game against Miami, he dominated as well. So I expect him to continue to play well with Embiid out. He should be a top option, and he is a very core play. DeAndre Melton is also in play for Philly. Now he played very well with Embiid out. I expect him to have a lot of minutes as a result too. He also kind of did better than Maxey did in this game, oddly, but against Miami, though Miami does play a slow down pace, so that definitely hurts them. This is a faster paced game against Orlando, though it's still one of the slower teams on the slate. I do like a Melton alright in this one. He's just not a must play here. Shea Alexander is a great play on the slate against the Knicks. He's played very well throughout the season, very consistent. His price is still pretty fair. Shockingly, it hasn't gone over 11,000 yet. I kind of think it will eventually, but right now he's playing very well, and I like his potential in this one. He's doing everything for this team, and he's got a lot of potential here. Then we'll look at Siakam for Toronto. Toronto's got a very favorable matchup against Washington, so it's definitely a stackable team. However, they are somewhat pricey. But he's played pretty well, and he has a lot of potential in this game with some good upside, especially if he can keep up with the 35 plus minutes per game. Randall also has some interesting upside here against the Thunder. He's played very well with Mitchell Robinson out, and I expect that to continue here. His ceiling is high, but his floor is, pretty good as well, so he's definitely worth a look. Scotty Barnes was a guy I thought about making a core play. He's very close, but he has a lot of upside. He's played very well lately, though I do feel like there's going to be some regression at some point. He started the season a little bit all over the place, but he's got some super high upside. He's priced really cheap today for some reason, and he's got a great matchup. I think I'm actually going to move him into a core play because of how well he's played as of late. Tyrese Maxey was a guy I expected to have a good game against Miami last time out. And he played plenty of minutes. He just didn't shoot the ball well, and that really hurt his fantasy potential. Without Embiid, obviously he's going to have to take more offense. I expect a bounce back game here against Orlando, though they are a tough defensive team. I think he's going to be a good option on the slate. Sengun is also in play for Houston. He's played very well throughout the season, and he's had some really monster games lately. His price is still pretty cheap, which is surprising. He's been a good fantasy asset for most of the season, and looks to continue to be one today. Uh, then we'll look at Chris Middleton, who it looks like maybe his minutes limit are finally alleviated for the most part, as he's been over 30 minutes or close to it for quite a few games in a row now. And I look for him to have a pretty solid game today. And if Giannis were to be ruled out, then that would move him into near must-play status. Looking at Isaiah Hartenstein, he finally started to start the last few games, and his production has been very solid. He definitely carries a little bit of risk because of a low floor, but he has a lot of rebounding upside in this game against the Thunder, who should shoot a lot of jump shots, so I do like his potential in this one. For the injury situations with Giannis, Mitchell, Levert, and Luka all questionable, we definitely have to look at that and see what's potential there. So let's look at that real quick. So if Doncic is out, Tim Hardaway Jr., who already has a little bit of a boost, it should get more of a boost. Exum and Hardy would also get some upside boost. However, they do have a tough matchup against Cleveland, so do keep that in mind. If Giannis was ruled out, Portis, Lillard, Connaughton, and Beasley and Middleton would all get somewhat of a boost. I would really like Portis a lot in this matchup if that was the case. And if Mitchell and Levert are ruled out, Craig Porter Jr. would have some upside as well as stress and Nying. So do keep all those in mind. Thank you guys for liking, commenting, and subscribing today. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to leave them below, and have a nice day, guys.